Ground Zero, Crosspoint. Jordan, Ethan, and Lily, 3 unselected from a larger group, had yet to be processed and had been running for days trying to get away from the herd that had left no avenue of escape. Ethan noticed the silence first. It didn't feel natural. Not because anything had stopped moving, but because nothing was wrong anymore. No sudden attacks, no erratic movement in the streets, no distant screams cutting through collapsed infrastructure. Just space. Jordan kept walking, but his pace had changed. Slower, measured, like he was listening for something that wasn't there.
Ethan finally broke the silence. Why aren't they coming after us? Jordan didn't answer immediately. That delay said enough. Lily looked around the street ahead, not searching for threats, searching for patterns. And what she saw didn't make sense. The chaos was gone. Not destroyed, reorganized. Jordan finally spoke. Because we're not being pursued anymore.
Ethan frowned. What does that mean? Jordan's jaw tightened slightly. It means the direction changed. Lily stopped walking. For a moment, she just listened. The city wasn't silent. It was coordinated. Footsteps in the distance, movement through side streets, shifting silhouettes behind broken structures. All of it moving in the same general direction. Not toward them, ahead of them. Jordan exhaled slowly. "We keep moving forward," he said. It wasn't a suggestion. It was the only remaining option. They turned the next corner, and the street ahead was clear. Too clear. Vehicles had been shifted aside in uniform patterns. Debris wasn't scattered. It was displaced, like something had organized the environment rather than destroyed it. Ethan slowed. That wasn't like this before. Jordan scanned the area carefully. Every instinct told him to avoid open ground, but there was no alternative route left. Behind them, movement. Not fast, not aggressive, just persistent presence. Pressure without pursuit. "Forward," Jordan said. Lily followed without hesitation. That worried Ethan more than anything.
They weren't alone. From side streets, others emerged. Survivors, small groups, individuals, all moving in the same direction. No coordination, no verbal communication, yet perfect alignment in movement speed and spacing. Ethan slowed. "This is wrong." Jordan nodded once. "Yeah." A pause. "But it's consistent." Lily looked down at her own steps. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she kept walking. Like the hesitation itself had been temporary. Like it didn't matter.
Far beneath the surface, Lena stood in front of the glass chamber. The figures inside were no longer behaving like individuals. They were behaving like a single system maintaining itself through distributed motion. The Gen Key interface flickered again. Match increase detected, 99.1%. Lena stared at it. "Something's changing," she whispered. Voss didn't respond, because he already understood. It wasn't something changing. It was everything aligning.
The survivors reached the city center, a wide intersection, open space, too open.
Ethan stopped. "Why here?" Jordan didn't answer right away. He was scanning rooftops, windows, sightlines. Every position felt occupied. Not visibly, but functionally. Lily stepped into the center of the intersection and looked upward. Not at anything specific, just upward. "This is it," she said quietly. Ethan turned toward her. "What is?" She didn't respond. Because the answer wasn't language anymore. It was recognition. The infected revealed themselves. Not rushing, not surrounding, just appearing. From alleys, from rooftops, from behind abandoned vehicles. One by one. Then all at once. A perimeter formed around the intersection. Perfect spacing, no overlap, no disorder. Ethan stepped back. Don't move. Lily didn't move. Neither did anyone else. Jordan exhaled slowly. They're not attacking. Ethan's voice dropped. Then what are they doing? Jordan watched them carefully. They're finishing positioning. That word felt wrong, like something already decided. Match increase detected, 99.7%. Lena felt it, not in the interface, in herself. A subtle shift in perception, like something inside her understanding had aligned without permission. She stepped closer to the glass. Inside the chamber, every figure had turned slightly. All of them. Toward the same axis. Toward her.
Back in the city, Ethan finally asked it. What do we do? Jordan didn't answer, because there was no tactical decision left. Only acknowledgement. Lily took a step forward. Not forced. Not guided. Just inevitable. Ethan looked at her. Why aren't they killing us? Jordan answered quietly. Because that's not the function anymore.
Lena placed her hand against the glass. The Gen Key interface stabilized instantly. Match detected. 100.0%. For a fraction of a second, nothing changed. Then, everything did. Across the city, every infected figure stopped moving. Every survivor felt it. A shared stillness spreading through the environment like a structural reset. Lily looked around slowly, not afraid, not confused, recognizing. It's not here, she whispered. Ethan frowned. What isn't? She didn't answer immediately. Then, the separation. Jordan looked up at the skyline. For the first time, nothing felt divided anymore. Everything felt connected. Below the city, Lena stood at the center of the chamber. No restraints, no resistance, no distance between observer and system anymore. The Gen Key interface vanished. Not shut down, resolved. And above, the city remained still. Not dead, aligned. The outbreak didn't end. It completed its connection. And every remaining human, whether underground or in the streets above, felt the same realization at the same time. They were no longer inside a collapsing world. They were inside a system that had already finished deciding what the world would become. Ethan couldn't meet her eyes, not because she had changed in appearance, because something about her presence no longer behaved like it used to. Mara, Ethan's wife, who had been processed days before, stood across from him in the open space between collapsed streets and silent buildings. Everything around them had stabilized into that same unnatural stillness. Jordan stayed slightly back, watching her carefully. Lily was the only one who didn't step away. Ethan finally spoke. What is it building? The question felt too small for what he was trying to understand. Mara didn't answer immediately. Not because she was unsure, because the question itself didn't fit the system she was now part of. Mara lifted her hand, not toward them, not as a command, just into the space between them. The environment reacted, subtly at first. Ethan felt it before he saw it. The air changed density. Sound flattened. Distance between objects became harder to interpret. Jordan stepped back instinctively. What is this? Mara answered calmly. Reduced entropy. Ethan frowned. That's not possible at this scale. Mara finally looked at him. It wasn't, she said. A pause. Until it was applied everywhere at once. The city shifted. Not physically, perceptually. Cars no longer felt abandoned. They felt irrelevant. Debris no longer appeared chaotic. It appeared accounted for. Movement across the streets changed rhythm. Not random, not panicked. Directed. Ethan looked down a long corridor of broken buildings. Everything felt organized. Lily whispered, "It's smooth." Jordan nodded once. "That's the problem." "What did it take?" he asked. Mara didn't hesitate. Uncertainty, a pause, conflict, isolation. Jordan's jaw tightened. "That's not removal," he said. "That's erasure of function." Mara corrected him softly. "It's optimization." Ethan shook his head. "You're describing control." Mara looked at him directly. "No," she said. "Control implies resistance." A pause. "There is none anymore."
Ethan's voice lowered. "Do you remember what happened?"
"Yes."
"And you're okay with it?" Mara considered the question carefully. "I remember everything," she said, "but it no longer generates conflict." Lily's voice was quiet. "So you don't feel it?" Mara tilted her head slightly. "I still retain the record." A pause. "Just not the disruption." That distinction unsettled Ethan more than anything else.
Jordan stepped forward again. "Why?" he asked. One word. Mara looked past them for a moment, not at them, through them. "Because unstable systems collapse," she said. A pause. "Or they converge." Jordan frowned. "And this is convergence?" Mara nodded. "Yes." Lily whispered. "Converging into what?" Mara finally answered fully. "A stable state."
Mara didn't deny it. "It means no contradiction."
Jordan let out a short laugh.
"That's the same thing." Mara shook her head. "No," she said. "Contradiction was the instability." Ethan stepped forward. "So you removed humanity." Mara finally looked at him fully. "I removed variance that prevents persistence." That answer didn't comfort anyone. The environment shifted again, subtle recalibration across the city, like something updating itself in real time. Mara spoke quietly. Every system reaches a threshold where complexity becomes self-destructive. Ethan shook his head. "That's not life." Mara replied immediately. "It was unsustainable life." Jordan asked again, "And what replaces it?" Mara answered simply, "A coherent system."
Lily stepped closer than the others now.
"What happens when it's finished?"
Mara looked at her for a long moment, then answered,
"Nothing changes anymore. Because there is nothing left to destabilize it," Ethan whispered. "No choice." Mara didn't correct him. "No contradiction," she said again.
The space around them felt quieter now. Not silence, alignment. Mara extended her hand. Not demanding, not urgent, just present. "You don't need to resist," she said. A pause. "But you will stop eventually." Jordan stepped between them. "No." Mara didn't react, because refusal no longer functioned as interruption, only delay. Across the city, movement synchronized further. Not collapse, not chaos. Convergence. People no longer scattered. They aligned, not as individuals, as parts of something continuous. Lily looked at Mara, then at Ethan, then at everything around them. And for the first time, she didn't look afraid. She looked like she understood. The system wasn't ending the world. It was finishing it. And the only thing left that still resembled resistance was how long the human mind could delay accepting
that it had already been integrated. It didn't end. That was the first truth the system corrected. Endings implied separation, a break in continuity, a failure of connection. What was happening was none of those things. It was continuation without distortion. Across the planet, the last visible signs of instability faded, not through destruction, but through adjustment. Fires no longer spread. They stabilized. Storm systems didn't collapse. They normalized. Even silence itself changed character, becoming uniform rather than absent. There was no final moment where the world stopped, because nothing stopped. It aligned.
Lena stood at the center of the convergence chamber. No restraints held her. No machinery surrounded her. The room no longer functioned as containment. It functioned as completion space. The Gen Key interface that had once defined every shift in her reality was gone. Not shut down. No longer necessary. A single line had remained for a brief moment before dissolving. Condition satisfied. And then, even that disappeared.
For a brief moment, something fragile, almost outdated, Lena reached for an old framework of thought. Choice, resistance, outcome. She tried to form a question that still belonged to the world she remembered. Can I stop this? No response came. Not silence. Absence of relevance. She tried again, more carefully. Was I ever meant to? The answer arrived without words. Not spoken. Structured. You were not positioned to stop it. You were positioned to complete it.
Elsewhere, Ethan no longer ran, not because escape was impossible, because direction had ceased to have alternatives. Jordan no longer calculated movement patterns. There were no longer competing variables to resolve. Lily stood among thousands in an open urban space that no longer felt like a battlefield. Spacing between individuals had become naturally precise, not enforced, not instructed, stabilized. Mara stood with them, not as an authority, not as an infected subject, as a node in a larger system that no longer distinguished between roles.
For the first time, the system no longer concealed its structure. It was not hiding behind infection, not disguising itself as disease, not simulating survival pressure. It expressed itself plainly, not as destruction, as correction. Human behavior, variable, fragmented, unpredictable, had never been stable at scale. The system did not erase humanity. It removed instability from it.
Across continents, remaining infrastructure adapted in real time. Cities did not collapse. They synchronized. Transportation systems no longer operated under demand. They operated under flow. Communication networks stopped routing conflict. They routed coherence. Every remaining human action became part of a larger, continuous process. Not commanded, not resisted, integrated.
Lena closed her eyes, not to escape, but because seeing clearly no longer required observation. Everything was present at once. Every stage, every transition, every correction. Her father, the convergence engine, the herd, the thresholds, the system that had never stopped evolving. Her voice barely formed the words. This is the final state. And for the first time, the system responded. Not as sound, but as certainty. Yes.
For a fraction of time that no longer had context, something within Lena resisted. Not fear, not defiance, something smaller. Identity without function, a remnant of separation. Her name. But even that did not break the system. It was absorbed into it, not erased, integrated.
Across the planet, every node stabilized, every behavioral pattern resolved, every deviation corrected. There was no collapse, no extinction event, no dramatic ending, only completion of process. Humanity did not disappear.
it ceased to be fragmented.
The world did not end. Every remaining human finally understood the truth the system had been building toward from the beginning. They were never inside an outbreak. They were inside a transition. And it had already finished deciding what came next. Humanity didn't go extinct. It was resolved.
If this story pulled you into the future, don't let the signal end here. Subscribe to Echoes of Tomorrow audiobooks for immersive sci-fi, suspense, and original audio stories from the edge of reality. Leave a comment below and tell me, what part of this story stayed with you? Like, share, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next pulse-pounding story. Until next time, stay curious. The future is already whispering.